Boom, I'm back at it. Alright guys, welcome back to another video on the channel, man. Today, UFC 278. That is all we talking about, bro. And just like my predictions, I only covered the first 3 fights. I really even talked about the first 3 fights. Same thing, I'm gonna just talk about the first 3 because honestly, all the fights were pretty solid. This one was actually crazy. I'll talk about it for a super brief period, but it legit only lasted a minute. Dude hit him with a jab that hurt him, and then Tyson Pedro hit him through a kick right in the stomach. It was like a liver kick. Dude just buckled, and it was over. So quick and easy. Tyson Pedro. It was a really quick fight. Then we go on to Jose Aldo, Merab. This fight, it definitely wasn't entertaining by any means. I don't think I would consider it like a quote-unquote entertaining fight, but looking at it from a very technical perspective, it was super sick. Merab's fighter name, the Machine, it's actually true. This dude is genuinely an absolute fucking machine. Like the whole 15 minutes, dude did not stop. Just shooting, grabbing his legs, just doing everything to make Jose's life miserable. Like the craziest part was these fights were in Salt Lake City, Utah, so there's a lot of elevation there. So altitude, a lot of fighters were complaining about and saying that because of that, a lot of fighters looked tired. We're gonna get to Luke Rockhold in a second, but so even more so than others. But I think even for Jose Aldo, although he's in amazing shape, I'm sure altitude somewhat gave him a little bit of fatigue. But also on top of that, Merab was just on one, bro. Usually Jose Aldo pairs up so well against wrestlers. Like his style of fighting completely neutralizes wrestlers. So this matchup, that's why even my prediction, granted I was being a little biased and I wanted Jose Aldo to win, against a wrestler, Jose Aldo usually does extremely well. But in this fight, Merab he was just different, man. Jose got him with a few good jabs, some really good knees, but it didn't really do much against Merab, like I've been saying, absolute fucking machine. Yeah, man, this bantamweight division is so stacked. Like we got Aldo, TJ for the belt coming up. Same card, it's Peter Yan and Sean O'Malley. That fight's gonna be crazy. But then also now Merab just won. Sandhagen, he's fighting Song Yadong, which also going to be an incredible fight. So this division is so stacked. You could literally put Merab against anyone. Like I would watch Merab versus Cheeto, even though realistically Cheeto should be fighting for the belt. But if UFC was just like, hey, fuck it, we're gonna have him run it, that would also just be an amazing fight. Literally, this division is absolutely ridiculous, and any fight in the bantamweight division with a top 10, 100% got to tune in. It's lit. But next up, we go move on. Paulo Costa, Luke Rockhold, the 2 models going at it. Bruh, this shit was so ridiculous to watch. Like, I've literally never seen a UFC fighter put their hands on their knees after just 1 round. Like, I've never seen that shit. But for the first time this past Saturday, we saw Luke Rockhold literally just on his knees, just panting, looked dead as fuck. And honestly, so I watched a clip of Paulo Costa on Ariel Helwani's show, and he was kind of talking about how by the time the 3rd round came around, Luke was probably just faking it. And I partially agree, just because I think the 1st round he was actually out. Like his breath, like he was losing that shit. Like I think round 1 his body just wasn't used to it, and he was actually just dead as fuck. But then to go on for 2 more rounds and look the way he did, I think he got used to it. Like he kind of got his breath back. I mean, he was probably like, hey, I'm not really that tired, but let me just keep acting like it. So Paulo keeps backing off. I think also because Luke did that shit, it kind of got Paulo off guard. Paulo was also saying that he was tired as well, that the altitude fucked with him. But that being said, I think because Luke was just being so fucking weird, just the way he fought, that I think Paulo couldn't even understand his timing. And like even in the 3rd round, Luke had some crazy shit happening where he was like, fuck you then he would just throw a left and just hit him hard. In the 3rd, like Luke got some crazy ass punches on Paulo. Even in the 2nd round, I can't remember off top if it was the 2nd or 3rd round, but Luke had a bunch of like just body kicks as well that looked fast, they looked strong, they looked heavy. So yeah, man, it was definitely a super weird fight. Entertaining the whole way through. Like in the third, I'm gonna throw a picture up. Luke starts smearing his blood, like he was bleeding from his nose. He starts smearing the blood on Paulo's face, which is fucking nasty. And apparently Paulo, when he was answering questions to a journalist, one of the journalists asked him basically like, hey, how'd you feel when Luke was smearing his blood on your face? And he was like, at that point, like, first of all, he was so zoned in on the fight, he didn't even realize it was blood. He was like, oh, maybe it's just sweat or some shit. He didn't really even pay too much attention to it. But apparently he did see it after the fight and was like, yo, that shit's fucking disgusting. Which any sane human being would say. But that shit was wild. But then with that, obviously Luke Rockhold did say that he was retiring after this. He was like, yo, I'm too fucking old. So shout out Luke Rockhold. All that being said, bro, even Two's last 3 rounds, you gotta respect the man, bro. Like knowing that it's his. I don't know if he knew even leading up to the fight. I'm gonna just go on a limb and think that he probably did. That there's a chance this might be his last fight at least. And so just the last 3 rounds, your last fight of your career. Shout out Luke Rockhold, former UFC champ, former Strikeforce champ. So yeah, man, shout out Luke Rockhold. And then finally, bro, the title fight, Kamaru Usman, Leon Edwards. Like, bro, if you guys don't know, obviously Kamaru Usman before this fight, and then obviously before this fight, if you guys do not know, Kamaru Usman was pound for pound #1. He was the guy. He's in the new Black Panther movie coming out soon. Like, bro, Kamaru Usman out here. Leon Edwards, on the other hand, bro, first of all, his gym's in Birmingham, England. He trains out of Birmingham, England. He grew up in Birmingham, England. And for people who don't know, Birmingham is like the trenches. Like, Birmingham is basically the hood in England. It's a very, very poor place. So Leon grew up there, trained there. He was born in Jamaica. And he says that his story, you could clearly see he literally got it out the mud. Leon Edwards is a definition of getting it out the mud. And so with that, this makes him the first Jamaican-born champion. Also, it's the first fighter out of England to actually train in England to win the belt. Because obviously Michael Bisping did it, but he actually trained in America. Leon Edwards lives in England still, trains out of England still. So that's crazy. So, and then also on top of that, his last, or not including the Nate Diaz fight, the fight before when he fought Bilal Muhammad, he was clearly winning that fight. That fight ended because of an accidental eye poke, and Bilal was like, yo, I can't see, like, my eyes fuck, blah blah. So they had to end the fight. And then it was the craziest thing too, because after the fight you saw Leon on his bus just crying, talking to his mom, like, yo, they ended this shit because of an eye poke. It wasn't really even an eye poke. I was murdering this man. Like, I would have easily won. And then after that, because of the pandemic, for the past 2-3 years he hasn't been able to fight. Or no, even before that, he fought Nate Diaz. He was killing him most of the fight. Then in the fifth round, Nate Diaz did Nate Diaz things and won the 5th round, which had a bunch of people discrediting him, like, hey, if Nate got a 6th round, he would have beat you, all this shit. But then even after that, because of the pandemic, he was supposed to fight Hamza Chimaev a bunch of times. That never fell through. Then I think there was some injuries in there somewhere, injuries to his opponents. So a bunch of fights had to get called off. Finally gets the chance to fight Kamaru Usman. Everyone's calling him the pound for pound king. Everyone's like, yo, Leon, you probably have ring rust. You haven't fought in 2-3 years. There was so much shit where, like, I think I even said, bro, just look at the odds. Like, I even said in my predictions, I was expecting a Kamaru Usman knockout, because I just thought Kamaru was just all around way better. He would just knock Leon out. Little did I know, Leon Rocky Edwards will come through, bro. First round, first ever takedown on Kamaru Usman, which is legit history there. But then on top of that, he got Kamaru's back. He almost had the rear naked. Kamaru, credit to him, he fought it perfectly, got out of it. But then also from the 2nd round all the way to the 4th round, most of even the 5th round, Kamaru was just dominating him. Like, he would just hit him face, body, and then would just shoot for a takedown. He was getting easy takedowns. Like, by the 5th, I was like, yo, Kamaru won. Also, the craziest thing too, they had Dean Thomas come on, and he was basically like, yo, Leon would be happy with like a moral victory, or he would be happy with just getting into the decision and just not getting knocked out. Like, they were basically like, hey, if he just doesn't get knocked out, as long as he doesn't get submitted, that's a moral victory for him. And then John Anik said something along the lines of, Leon Edwards is not cut from that cloth though. So you knew that Leon was going to fight. But then even in the 5th round, Joe, DC, they're all like, yo, this shit's over. we're done with this shit. But then out of nowhere, Leon Edwards pulls off this straight jab where he kind of pulls back so he doesn't make contact all the way. And then Usman has such a boxing stance where when he went to parry the jab, he leaned so down right, and Leon threw the perfect just lead kick right on the chin. Like, it's like a baseball bat to the head. He essentially took a baseball bat to Kamaru Usman's head, knocked him the fuck out. Crazy scenes. Like, bro gets knocked out, his body just stiffens. You see his eyes just like everything's just not there. Drops to the floor. You see Rocky just realize what just happened. Then I think his coaches come in, just like hug him and shit. Then he's on the cage. Then they start playing the Rocky music, which was the coldest shit ever. So, like, bro, this was literally like Rocky 2. That was legit it. Dude from the mud, counted out the whole time, facing pound for pound. His nickname's fucking Rocky. Like, on the cage, they got the Rocky music playing. No one thought this would happen. I bet my camera died. But basically, Leon Edwards, and then even post-fight with Joe Rogan, he's like, yo, pound for pound, headshot, dead. And then the whole time he's like, look at me now. And like, bro, the whole shit, so fucking sick. Shout out Leon Edwards. Like, even after when he has a belt, this was such a cool moment too, because it was like before we saw him calling his mom at his worst when he lost the fight because of finger poke, or it was declared a no contest because of a finger poke at a fight that he should have won. And then now to see him call his mom again, but he has the belt now, that shit was sick. Also against Nate Diaz, because of the last minute, people were discrediting him on that fight. But now the last minute of this fight, he gets the knockout. Like, it's almost like a full circle moment. It's super, super dope. Shout out Rocky. Also, huge shout out to Kamaru Usman for how he handled his loss. Like, he sent out a few tweets. He's been on Instagram. I think he did an interview with 1 or 2 people as well. And throughout the whole thing, he's like, yo, huge respect to Leon. He just happened to catch me. I didn't see that coming. But he handled it like a true champion, so shout out Kamaru Usman as well. Dana even said that they might run it back in London, in Wembley, which would be amazing. London card is always sick. The crowd there is amazing. Also now with a British champion, I think it's going to be insane. Also, I would love to see these guys fight a third time. Although, like I kind of said last fight, now they're 2 completely different fighters. So for me, if they fight again, it will be the 3rd time they actually fought each other. But it will be more like the 2nd time, because the first time they were hardly themselves at that point. So I'm super, super looking forward to a 3rd fight if it ever happens. But yeah, man, shout out both men. Shout out Leon for getting the belt. I hope he has a long reign. He even said on there, he was like, yo, people were acting like Kamaru was gonna win, that it's Kamaru's belt, but the belt belongs to no one. Legit, when Leon said that shit reminded me of Fire Squad. Shout out J. Cole, where Cole's basically like, yo, I think at the end of the song, or no, I know at the end of the song, he's basically like, hey, when he put on the crown just vanishes. Where at the end of the song, it's basically like, here comes little old Jermaine with every ounce of strength in his veins to snatch the crown, and then instead of putting it on his head, the crown vanishes. That's legit what I got reminded of right when Edwards said that, hey, this belt belongs to no one. This is no one's belt. So that shit was very, very sick. Also, his interviews after have been super cool. And I mean, also, like, Leon Edwards is such a good dude. He totally deserves it. Also, all the shit he's been through and survived, and then now he's a UFC champ. Insane, bro. But yeah, guys, that was a quick little overview of UFC 278. Super dope card, or at least the 3 fights I covered were super sick. But yeah, man, really looking forward to seeing Leon Edwards fight again. Hopefully he's fighting Kamaru, because either way I would love to see Kamaru fight again. So with that, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out all the links in bio. It leads to either my socials or something I'm doing, man. So check everything out. With that, out of here. Peace.